Hello, hello. Hey, Kevin. What is? Oh, I see. This is my water bottle. I'm like, everything's wrong in the camera over here. Oh boy. All right. So Kevin came to save the day yesterday and made a PR for the thing I'd been struggling with. So we're gonna look at that. Adam is going to. Hey, Matt. I want to watch that higher quality bird video that you sent because the first one it looked like the bird on the left had a red head, and I assume that was the father bird. Adam is going to keep working on the treasure feature. He got stuck yesterday doing a bunch of other refactorings that went mostly well. Cool. Hey, Chef Elton. Has a lot of red. Yeah. Yeah, I want to take a look at that video. All right. So we made some changes here, and I don't even know what the changes are at this point. So we got to go through this. Let me keep chat on the other screen. All right, so this was an overall good change, the processed items tracker. I like this. The game saver had a bunch of converter stuff, which I believe Kevin has fixed, so I'm probably going to delete all of this stuff. Man, though, this was not fun. I want to write some notes about this because I have some C# and JSON thing, and this note is eventually going to be crazy. Okay, so using a, what is this thing called? JSON serializer context. All right, so this particular note is just in case this ever comes in handy, since this wasn't the most obvious code to write. I guess let's just put everything like this. Note, not all options from this are supported here. Okay, so like this will be called my context. And then to use this, normally we would have had JSON serializer options. So you have to make a new options thing every time. And you would do this like this pretty much. Is the screen frozen? Yes, thank you. Man, I don't know why that happens. I even restart OBS. I wonder how long I could ever stream like this before people are like, what is he doing? It was just showing the terminal, right? I guess it might have taken people a while to figure that out. So later, serialize using the context. Note that you must... Wait, the get options thing though, that was here. Any converters you'd want would go here. Type info resolver. This wouldn't even matter. None of this pretty much matters. Yeah, none of this really matters, does it? I guess we delete that then. If you want to pass, yeah. As mentioned in the note in the comment above, not all of the JSON serializer options are supported in this. You can construct a context using options. Just pass it into new my context. Although two things. One is those options can't be reused from a past serialization, presumably because they're modified somehow. to address this, simply make a new JSON serializer options each time. And 2 is not all options inside this even seem to be supported. E.g. this. Note that I never tried to make this route work. I'd been exploring it for the sake of serializing enum values as integers, which was solved with, I guess I'll just write like insert link to another section. Okay, so now we can delete this code, right? Yeah. Oh, wait, no, oops. I didn't mean to press that. All right, the thing I didn't mean to delete is the save version needs to be incremented. So that's it. It's just changing the number 6 to 7. It's not like that was a major problem. Plus, I could probably just press Command Z here and it would be fine. Yeah, but I do need this to be there. Make sure save version is incremented to 7. Yeah, there. Okay, now we can revert this. This never seemed to matter. I just still don't understand how you were supposed to do this in the way that they wanted. Do I still have that other file open? No, I don't. It doesn't matter. All right, this is fine. Although Kevin might have done this in his own side of things. Yeah, this is fine. This is fine. This is fine. Yeah. All right. So here's the... We still need to finish writing notes on all this stuff. Make sure I took notes on all of the JSON stuff. Okay, so next up is the PR. Yeah, I looked at this briefly yesterday. What does this modify though? Game saver to add in a new converter. That's easy enough for me to do. What I'm basically thinking about is, can I just pull stuff from here? Because the other two things are brand new files. And the answer is yes, but I think I should just merge this into my branch and then put my stuff on top. I think that makes the most sense. But we got to write notes on this. So, well, how does this work? This makes a factory, right? Yeah. This makes a factory. I kind of want to just include this code. I think I'm just going to copy paste the whole thing. Why does this have the save system here, though? What's used from our save stuff? Oh, no, that doesn't. It's just a namespace. Okay. So delete the namespace. Probably save the usings just in case that helps in the future. Serializing enum values as integers. All right, this is going to be a beast of a note. Let's go write it all. Just solved with serializing. Wait, C# and JSON. And I want one of these. How do you do this? Ah, there we go. Okay, so now if I click this, it should bring us down to here. Perfect. Good, good, good. Okay, so background. By default, if you save... All right, so suppose you have an enumeration like this. Yeah. And that's what I was going to say. Yep, exactly. I'm definitely going to include that. All right, so we're going to go get item ID, and we're going to, we're going to copy paste this in here. Sword, armor, ... Imagine a bunch more. Okay. Imagine if you stop by streams and just drop that phrase. It's a secret. Fell asleep on this page and woke up and you were streaming it. Yeah, normally I raid somebody else. Yesterday I was just kind of burned out from, well, not really burned out, but I definitely needed to step away from my computer. And raiding involves a certain amount of energy to find somebody and then like, say hi and stick around, and I was just not feeling doing that. So you're back here. Surprise. Good morning. So if you were to save an item ID or an array/list of item IDs, they would get saved as integers. However, if you save a dictionary item ID T, the keys will be saved as strings. So now let's go get that. This will look something like this. Saved as array is something like 1, 2, 1. Items saved as dictionary would be all of this stuff. So sword. And what was the other one I wrote? Armor, I think. Yeah, armor. There. Hey, Leap Your Girl. Just got home today from mental health facility. Very pleased with how much better I'm feeling. Going to eat dinner and enjoy stream for as long as my energy allows me. That is really good to hear, because I think I recall you saying this is going to be a very long process. And if it's already starting to, like, you're noticing that it's trending upward, I think that's really good. Even if it's something that's slow, it's like just seeing a curve go positive is nice. So congratulations to you. Suppose you have a numeration like this. So yeah, we do this, blah, blah, blah. And then if you were to save an item ID or an array or list of item IDs, a raw item ID, they would get saved as integers. However, if you save this, they'll be saved as strings. Hey, Lully. Welcome in. Okay, so the reason you wouldn't want, the reason you might not want them to save as strings is in case this is in case you ever modify those strings in the code. For example, suppose you mistyped sword as srod. It would get saved as this. If you ever fix that typo in the code, your save files would break unless you wrote special migration code. I'm doing well. How are you doing, Lily? Hey, Tomo. Need to ask you something? How to start with programming C#. Hey, Loggerhead. How to start with C#? So it's, I'll give you a caveat here. I've started so many years ago that whatever resources I use are probably not helpful anymore. But if you just write like C# getting started, I'm assuming a Microsoft link would come up and it would be very, very helpful. So yeah, there's a get started thing here. I would highly recommend this. Microsoft is usually pretty good about getting you started with any of their languages. And I imagine this is no different, but I haven't personally gone through this. So I recommend reading through this. I think it'll teach you quite a lot. I've generally found this site to be good at documenting things. Got put on meds, and that's helped a great deal with the improvement. Plus, of course, proper daily routine will be a long way, but already happy with feeling better. Yeah. Yeah. Nice. I don't know if it's still free, but Solo Learn is really good. Okay, so to work around this, you could make a function, a special function to serialize the dictionary item ID T as a dictionary int t, but you would need to do this for every dictionary that you have. Instead, here's some code that will automatically apply this to all of your dictionaries. How does this work? You just need to add in the converter to here. As long as your JSON serializer has this as a converter. Okay. I'm learning Python and was up at 2 a.m. going through this book and practicing it. Are you talking about Tamao or me? Because this is a continuation of something from yesterday that was just phenomenally frustrating. And it's something that you sort of take for granted in other languages. Like, let's say you're working in JavaScript. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. So it's incredibly easy to use from JavaScript. But when you're doing something from C#, you need to figure out, how am I going to serialize things that make sense in the C# world into JSON? And it just becomes a gigantic pain. Oh, taking notes. Yeah. Yeah, it's a very important process. Makes you type to pass challenges, so you get used to writing code. Yeah, I think that's another thing as a newcomer to any code. I think copy pasting is very appealing, and it is not necessarily the best way to learn. Then again, I also think some places kind of go crazy with it, where it's like, oh, let's have you type print hello world. And it's like, I guess you're typing out the parentheses and you're getting used to the spaces, but I think having you type a more full-fledged program is good. But whatever, as long as people stay interested, I think that's what matters the most. Okay, so that looks good. Let's take a look through this. I find it easier to just look at through... Hey, there's no copy button here? I thought there was. Maybe it's only... Wait, yeah, that is weird. Oh, here's the copy button. Okay. All right, so create a converter. How does this work? Create instance, type of this, make generic type. Oh, you know what? This was somewhat based on something here. This maybe? Yeah. So let's just copy this whole issue. See this code as a reference. Or maybe not this code, this issue. It has code in it too. Yeah. Generic instantiation is weird, yeah. Typing helps you understand the structure better. Yeah, it also kind of builds up that muscle memory a little bit. Like, a lot of the times, if you've been typing something for a long time and you're like, function like this, like the parentheses, the space, the curly brace are all now in my muscle memory. And I guess embedding that sooner rather than later is a good thing too. All right, so we've got that. I want to finish looking through this stuff. So what do we have here? We get ourselves a JSON converter, and it knows how to read and write a dictionary. Yeah. And then has a read next here. This is something that's called only by this. Found invalid key. Okay, yeah, nice. Oh man. Yeah, not Newtonsoft, correct. I wonder if Newtonsoft would have made this all really simple. Because having to do this, this is why this is so frustrating to me. This sort of idea, all we're trying to do is serialize an enumeration to an integer, not a string. And they sort of kind of have this in places, but just not for dictionaries. And in fact, maybe we could write a note about that. I don't have that anymore. But this, I'm gonna write this. So originally I tried to use this, but in a, what is this thing called? A JSON serializer context. But I ran into two problems. It broke polymorphically serializing, or polymorphic serialization, I guess I should say. Since, what is it? This doesn't seem to work. Didn't seem to be applied. And two was, it didn't even work. The item IDs would still be serialized as strings. Yeah, we're getting there. Didn't realize I needed an IO stream the whole time. You know, I still remember my first like real job. I was out of college and I thought, man, I just did a computer science degree. I'm feeling pretty good. I've usually been able to code things. And then on the job, they asked me, whatever, here's your first task, go do this. And I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And unfortunately, man, I've kind of been on the fence about how companies should handle this stuff. Like, I think mentoring your own employees is super important, but it involves two different parts of this. You need mentors who are capable, and you need mentees who actually care. And it's hard to find that combination. So some people just kind of get thrown in. Like, I wonder how many people go through the corporate pipeline and they're like 5 or 10 years in and they're just not effective at their jobs. And I've seen this happen from time to time. And I always wonder, is it a mentoring problem? Is it an ability problem? Is it an interest problem? Is it whatever else? Team fit? Any number of things. Lack of psychological safety. Like, but I think it starts with the mentoring aspect. And I've talked about this to different people at companies before, and they've generally said, like, not everyone wants to be a mentor and not everyone is good at it. So people end up just learning through other means, and I just don't think it's as effective. Hey, Stilling. Pretty easy to configure for sure. Don't know how much they've matched the features in system.text.json. Not fully following the problem here. Yeah. So the problem, just put very simply, is we're saving item IDs with their string values inside of dictionaries. This is just the default behavior of C#. So if we ever had a typo here, like we typed holy scepter wrong, we can't ever fix that typo without writing a save file migration. Because now anyone who had this in their save file is going to try loading a holy C scepter instead of a holy scepter, and it's going to break. So the whole thing we wanted to do is make it so that, hey, dictionaries just get saved with this as a number. This is 60, and this is 42, and this is something else. And that way, these will always convert to something. It might not be the exact same item in the future, but that way we can fix typos if we ever have them. Or, you know, fire rod turns into a lightning rod, and we're like, well, it's just going to be called fire rod for the rest of eternity. So yeah, that was our problem. Polymorphic serialization sounds super smart. I have no clue what it means. It's a lot to explain. Normally, I'd be like, here's the rundown on it, but it's not worth it for this. Hey, Vinny. First 2 years of dev job, I was assigned to a team based in Eastern Europe. I'm in US. Made such little progress as a dev. As soon as I got on a US team, I became so much stronger so quickly. Yeah, and this is another thing. I think pair programming, I think, is really helpful too for just kind of teaching people the ropes. And I don't think I've seen that emote. Oh, wait, that's not right. That's not door. That's doofus. Who's that, man? Hate how hard it is for people to find a junior position. Totally understand how time consuming it is. Yeah, well, and the other thing too is, and this happens with, let's say you work at company A and you get a junior employee, and let's say they leave after a year and then they go to company B. What you've done is you've trained an employee for a different company. However, that's also happening in reverse. So it's like it should even out at the end. But yeah, it always kind of means you're taking a risk on any junior employees. And what if they don't pan out? What if they don't learn? What if they leave? What if any number of things? I don't think I use enumerations for a dictionary key. You want them all as the enumeration type for the key though, right? Yeah. Well, I want them as the enumeration type, but specifically serialized with their integer values. I coddle them so much, I don't want them to go through what I did. Yeah, this is sort of how the cycle goes for almost anything, right? You experience some pain or friction, and then you're hyper aware of it, so you make sure other people don't. And in doing so, there are probably blind spots for some other piece of friction, which then the next generation needs to accommodate. Yeah. All right, where did I leave off of this? I think I did not finish looking through this. No, I did finish looking through this. Okay, so this is fine. We do need to test this, of course. And then there are tests that Kevin wrote, but I lost the PR. Here? Yeah. So the tests are here. So let's just pull this in. I got to remember to, we're going to merge this into main. So merge PR, merge main into my branch, stash pop. So we're going to do a get stash right now. Can you override toString on the enumeration and have it return the integer value? You probably can, but yes, I agree that that's not a good idea. Because every once in a while, if you ever want to print it through code and you're like, oh, that's what a fire sword is. Okay, got it. And you instead just see the number 6 and you're like, oh, okay, I guess I need to write something different. Change and merge into your branch if you want, I think. I should probably merge it into main. I guess it doesn't really matter because it's only for the sake of this. How do you do that? I'd probably change this somehow. Oh, yeah, there we go. All right, what's my branch called? Treasure? Treasure chest. Yeah, maybe I should just do that. But I probably need to push this first, right? Did it not even stash everything? Oh my god. Okay, fine. I gotta do get stash dash dash include untracked. What was that? Huh. Okay. Whoops. Okay, now let's go pull this thing. We shouldn't have any changes here. Sync changes up to the branch. GHPR checkout. Let's change this. Let's just merge it into my branch. Treasure chest. Some commits from the old base branch may be removed from the timeline. No, you know what? I'm not going to do this. Let's not do this. It's not worth it. I don't want to mess anything up. And I won't mess anything up if I do it this way. So let's just check this out. This is 1119. Now I want to look at the test. The test is in a file named converter test. All right. Okay. I want to make a dictionary that gets saved here. I want to test that part out. So if I go to town save data and we just do public dictionary item ID int testeroni get set, whoops. All right, there. Except for, yeah, that should probably work. Reload this. Tested with the highest defeated instance. Yeah, I guess all of them are going to change. The worst place for peer senior reviews. Oh, man. Yeah, these don't exist. I don't care about this. All right. Now all we need to do is run the game and then save. And then we should see this testeroni get saved as the numbers 81 and 108. There it is, 81 and 108. And now when we load, it should just work. Nice. Nice. Oh my God. All right. Thank you, Kevin, for doing this. Because I did not like this yesterday. Let's test one more thing here. Let's do save data dot testeroni item ID dot fire rod. Yeah, and then just console or gd.print this. Fire rod value. This should just print 1. In fact, let's have it print something more obvious. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can I see the solution? I'm super into this now. Yeah, sure. I will share that in just a sec. All right, so I load the game, and now it should say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. Great. Oh, it's amazing. All right, so this is the solution. You do this entire thing, and I'll put this in a gist. Serializing and num values as ints when used as dictionary keys. I just want to find the name of this file. That way we got this exactly. All right, create secret gist. Here you go. Yeah, this is nuts. Okay, so we can delete my code now. All this testeroni stuff we don't need. Delete that, delete this. So this looks good. Not even gonna run the tests. I'm already happy. I'm a happy camper. So merge PR, let's go do that. Thank you so much for taking this off my plate. I was probably going to have a bad Tuesday if not for this. All right. Skeleseller. Hey, Flair. Okay, so now this is in main. So this part's been done. Merge PR. This part's been done. Solution, Kevin. Sunglasses. Okay, now merge main into my branch. Let's go back to treasure chest. And then GPOM it. I don't want to rebase. Yeah, I don't want to rebase. It should be automatic. There should be no problem here. Yeah, there are no merge conflicts. Continue. Waiting for you to close the file. Could not read. No such file or directory. What? Did it work? I think I did it through VS Code. Yeah, I did it through VS Code, which is why that looked a little weird. But if I do a git push, this should be fine. And then if I do a git stash pop, we should get my files back. And then we can just work. Done with that, done with that, done with this, I guess. Wild solution. I know. It is definitely a wild solution. Game saver. Okay, we set this back to 7. Why was that not already 7? Oh, because I undid this. Everything else I did not undo, but that one file I did. You think it'd just be using a JSON enumeration converter that already exists or something? Yeah, but dictionaries are handled specially. And I could kind of see why they did that by default, but yeah, it does seem like there'd be a way to override that. All right, so where'd we leave off with the actual code I wanted to do? This is done. Make sure I took notes on all this stuff. I think we did this. Yeah. Okay. Merge PR, take notes, done. Oh, new speakers. I forgot about this. I should get these this morning, actually. It says out for delivery right now. Yeah, it doesn't say anything more than that. They actually wouldn't even serialize dictionaries. Man, Newtonsoft has a lot of complexity they probably need to work through. All right, so track how many of these items you've collected. The guild can save this information. Should make this. Eventually want this for any item types. Move item converter to save system. Oh yeah, that's a minor cleanup thing. And then this is also done. And I wrote chime in on this thread. Is it worth it? Is it possible to serialize an enumeration dictionary key as a number? Okay, you know what? I might chime in on this later. But I'm not going to do this now. This is good. These are all fixed now, so we can just move this up here. We can't tab this any further, can we? Yeah, there. No, that's good. All right. So if I'm not mistaken, we now have a way to bring items to the guild master, and they get saved already correctly. Let's just try running this and find out. That should be the case. In which case we're done with step 1. Step 2 is get this to show in the UI, and then step 3 is make it functional. So they're going to go bring a bunch of items over. So let's just look at these first 4. There's a cloak, an armor, a golem rock, and a spirit collar brooch. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We go save. And now we look at that. And that's probably correct. What's the shortcut to whoops. There's a shortcut. It is Control Command right. Yeah. So now I want to go get item ID. 131 is our cloak. Then we had the armor. Then we had the rock shard. And then we had the brooch. Yeah, nice. Got it working? Well, you being Kevin. Yes, Kevin got it working. Adam did nothing. Adam sat around and reaped the benefits. Oh, this shouldn't be here. I might have made some other mistakes while going through this. Let me take a look. Is there anything else? There shouldn't be any Jason thing in here at all. Why is this not marked as not necessary? Why are you here? What if I turn you off? What shows up? Nothing? What? Something's wrong. I probably have to reload this. This should be yellow underlined or gray or something like that. It just shouldn't look like this. So I'm expecting in about 10 seconds it's going to change. Yeah. Well, the collection's still needed. There it goes. There's the yellow underline. Okay, I knew I wasn't going crazy. All right, looks good. Game saver just changed the same save version. This says delete this. Happily, will do. Yeah, I don't need this at all. This is totally fine. This is fine. This is fine. And this probably shouldn't be here. Did I add these somewhere else? Isn't there a page up handler? There is. Yeah, I'll just delete this stuff. It's kind of nice to have extra workers, but you can just add that in the future. So revert all of that. And then that's it. We just save this stuff. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah. Oh, why is that there? I thought I deleted this. Turn in adventure item. Is this in Guildmaster? How did I miss this stuff? I just looked through this. Now the Guildmaster is calling this directly. I was probably in some like weird state yesterday where I hadn't fully finished looking through this. Hey, Goose. All right, now I think we're good. So I should probably write down what this thing is. This tracks items that have been processed, which means different things for different scenarios. E.g., a potion can be processed by selling it, by turning it in for a quest, by putting it in the extractor. That's actually it for right now. This is useful for any functional tracking, e.g. adventurer items result in increased stats, or achievement tracking. Selling greater than 500 potions. I don't think that's a fun achievement, but as an example for a comment, I think that's totally fine. This involves bringing an adventure item in the guild. Okay, yeah, nice, we're looking good. So add processed items tracker. We bumped the save version, but the save version should have actually been done in the prior commit, I think. I bumped the save version for this, which probably technically should have happened in the prior commit, where we modified how enumeration values are saved as dictionary keys. But this is all part of a branch which will be treated atomically from the player's perspective. Yeah, and then I need to write what this thing actually did. This is for keeping track of how many adventurer items you've delivered to the guild. Oh, I finally get to move beyond this. It's wonderful. Commit and then rejoice. So now move item converter to item to save system. This is dead simple. Although it's probably easier to do it from here. Item converter. Yeah, so this we want to move. Where's the move command? There it is. Move to source save system. Move. Okay, good. So that's done. So now item converter is modified and... Oh, interesting. Just by running move, it gives us all the UID files. All right, so now this should be in save system, which means anything that used this might need to change. Yeah. Nice. So technically, this gets rid of one line of code from our code base. Wow, that's a benefit. Wait, so move, wait, why did game saver change? Because of that, yeah, that's fine. And that changed because I moved it, yep. All right, so move item converter to proper namespace. This also adds missing UID files, which is technically separate. I'm not going to split this up. Normally I would. I don't care. It doesn't matter. In general, you should try to keep a commit to just one thing. But yeah, in this case, no one's ever going to separate this and be like, why did he add UID files? We're going to be like, oh yeah, that's just what Godot 4.4 had you do. So add a section to the UI that shows how many of each item you collected, show the sprite, show how many you have, how many it'll take to get to the next level. All right, let's mock this up first. We're going to do this pretty simply here because I don't know what I want this to look like yet. Why is this thing open? Okay. So let's go get an item sprite. Item sprite. Texture is an atlas texture. The atlas is the items. Then we pick a region that's just literally anything. So 16, 16, 16, 16. Great, it's a potion. I guess we could have it look a little bit cooler than a potion. Let's pick the 1, 2 over and 1 down. Yeah, so 2 over plus 32 and 1 down. There we go. Okay, so here's the item. What do you want to know here? So how many you have, how many it'll take to get to the next level? I guess before we answer any of that, we need to answer the lore question. Why, like, what is causing you to get more power here? So you collect, say, 15 shadow cloaks. You can't be equipping them. It could be some kind of research. It could be that you found a more powerful one. This is what someone suggested, that it just takes you a long enough time to find a more powerful one. I don't really like that as an explanation. It could be supplies for the guild to be able to train you further. I kind of like that. So wisdom sludge makes you smarter. And then these items are actually for the guild to train you. But then do we need to answer why does the guild need these? Maybe we just say recruitment. Maybe there's some sort of shadow organization we devote an entire spin-off game to. All right, I like this well enough. So it's guild supplies is what we're calling it. But then I want to write this in this document somewhere for the design. Keys are made for this, treasure, power-up items, had to be brought with the guild, rationale. And then we'll just say lore. I think the most sensible route here is that the guild needs these supplies for their own purposes. And they're training your adventurers when you bring them enough. You don't need to know their purposes. Wink. Actually don't need to know it. All right, so that might change the UI a little bit here because I guess what we want to show is like number of things collected. Maybe we make a VBox container here and we put in this, which is a texture rectangle, and then we get the actual texture here. Atlas. We copy this over. Copy. Where's copy? There it is. And just paste it. And then make this thing not stretch. Keep size, fit width. There we go. Okay, so hide this one. And then add in a label. And maybe call this like guild supplies. Put this down here. And this is why I'm glad I'm mocking this up, because I still don't know what we even want to show here. And then another label to the side of this that says like 0 out of, or like 3 out of 15. And then when you hover over this, it could tell you something else that we want to show you. So maybe in a tooltip here. So I'll add a rich text label. We'll turn on BB code and we'll say this is the tooltip. Can we move this? Why is this not working? There we go. Okay. Now let's expand this. This is a tooltip that would show on hover. And this is going to say something like cleric amulet. Collect 15 amulets for the guild to further train your cleric, granting +3 power and +40 life. And maybe we do some like font size stuff here. So yeah, imagine that the top text doesn't show at all. In fact, we can put like color equals gray here. Whoops. I didn't mean to put that in the middle of the sentence. I just couldn't see because the tooltip was there. So cleric amulets. Collect 15 amulets for the guild to further train your cleric, granting +30 power, or 3 power and 40 life. Is that it? Is there something else you'd want to see? Maybe something like you have collected X number of these overall. You have collected 30 amulets for the guild. I don't know about that part. What else do we have written here? Show how many you have, how many it'll take to get to the next level. Indicate what you'll get on the next level. And then just apply the bonuses. Maybe that's it then. Maybe you just see this and you hover over it and you see the more information. Maybe it should say like collect 12 more amulets for the guild to further train your adventurer. Yeah, I think this is pretty reasonable. It's a good start at least. And if people find they want more information, we can just add more information. All right, yeah, not bad. Does this fit in the current UI? Oh, maybe we should say like you can find these from treasure chests or something. Yeah, we should probably put that in the tooltip. People will probably get confused if not. Maybe we don't even put the historical information here of you found 30 of these. You can find this item from treasure chests. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, I like that. Yeah, so we were looking at the UI to see, do we have space here? Yeah, we have plenty of space here. But in the new UI, we might not have as much, but we'll have to figure that out then. And I guess we could always try to find a way to cram it into here. Maybe we could even write something like guild supplies. I don't know. Let's put it in and find out how I feel. All right, add a section of the Adventurer UI for this. Let's go do that. Adventurer Panels tab. All right, where's this? This is in the stats section, and it's its own entire panel container. I think we should export these in their own scene so that this hierarchy is a little bit easier to understand. So I'll make a new scene that just represents exactly what we need for this. How's this look right now? Yeah, like this. Okay, so panel container, VBox container. It's pretty much exactly what I have in here, right? Yeah, we just put it inside of a panel and then we're fine. And we just change the texture rectangle. Is this 16 by 16? How do I tell? It looks like it. Yeah, because of the guides over here. It'd still be nice if there was something that told you the exact size here somehow. Because some of these allow you to see what the size is. This says 16 by 19. I'm not actually certain why that's happening. We have it set to keep size. Stretch mode is keep. We can't scale. Keep aspect. Yeah. Sleepy chat. Yeah. This has been happening more and more lately. I think part of it has to do with I'm not really welcoming conversation. It's not that I'm stifling it, I think. I'm just thinking aloud to myself. More of a co-working thing. Chat, what's your favorite cereal? There. I'm a master conversationalist. Okay, so I'll put this in its own thing here. And then we get the tooltip separately. So this will be a panel container. Sounds good. Panel container. And we say something like guild supplies. Frosted flakes. I'm saying mine is a little ridiculous. For anyone who hasn't heard of this, it's silly that this is even a cereal. But Oreo oats. Yeah, I don't really eat this anymore. Muesli. Is it just essentially granola? Whole grain oats. Oh. So those on sale. Those are not Oreos. Those are Oreo puffs. I've never had Oreo puffs. All right, so guild supplies. We don't have a label for the current thing, do we? No, we just have level there. I don't even know if this should go in another panel. I guess we can figure this all out later. Oatmeal and cornflakes together? And like soft and crunchy. Okay, I think this looks pretty good. I don't even know if this needs to be a rich text label or just a regular label. I think this is probably fine. So now we want this to be contained. So let's save this as guild supplies, scenes, UI. We don't have an adventurer thing, do we? Should probably just make one, adventurers. And guild supplies. Never eat cereals. I don't really eat them anymore either. I bought a whole bunch of oats and I've just been having meal replacement stuff for breakfast. I gotta have those oats at some point. This is a VBox container, right? Yeah, nice. So we can just instantiate in the guild supplies thing now. Nice. Okay, let's see what this looks like in the game. We need to dynamically populate all of this. Yeah, it looks pretty good, other than the text color. Why is the text color bad? Oh, actually, that's pretty tiny. I don't know about that. I want that to be bigger. Yeah, I want that to be bigger. I also want this to have the right texture, which is nearest filtering. All right, so we got to double size that thing, and we got to make sure that this thing has the right theme, probably. This is basic fonts.tres, so we need the same thing here. Quick load, basic fonts. I should have just typed it. There we go. I eat quark. What? What is this? Yogurt? What is quark? Quark or quarg is a type of fresh dairy product made from milk. Milk is soured and strained. It does kind of look like yogurt. Huh, interesting. Never heard of that. All right, that looks pretty nice. Now we just need to bump this up. So probably what we should do is we should make the picture much larger. So maybe custom minimum size is 32 by 32, and then set this to keep aspect. And then maybe put these on different lines. I'm not sure how this will look. Oh, that's pretty nice. Yeah, I think. But then as you switch between adventurers, it's going to change the size. Actually, it would only do this if you had numbers that go beyond the text guild supplies. I wonder how many you could do before that becomes a problem. Like, let's say you said 300 out of 1500. Yeah, now that's already a problem, right? Yeah. So we can make this section have a slightly larger size, but this will fix a different problem we had too. All right. In general, I like this. We just need to figure out some of these like small issues here. Mostly just that this needs a minimum size, I think. So if we just set this to whatever, what is this? No, I want to know what size this is. There. Okay, now what is that? That is 100 and something. So let's set it to 125. That should be fine. 125. Okay. That doesn't look like anything happened. Do I need to restart this? Yeah, that's weird. Let's set this to 250 and see if that makes a change. It does. So why did 125 not look like... Oh, maybe because the theme changed the font size? Because 125 should have pushed us over to here, which would have put enough of a gap that I would have seen it. Yeah, it must be a font size thing. The theme changes this somehow. All right, well, let's set this to something reasonable, 150. What is this crown thing here? Top fans, 25 experience. What is this stuff? Place for fans to stand out. Top 3 get special badges. It resets every stream, so you can always try again. You'll need to collect experience points by sending messages and sending super chats. Okay, I didn't even read your message, Lee. Used to play this game on Xbox before Halo came out. Nice to see it still getting updates. Yeah, it's been a long time. Halo almost overthrew us. So we shot back with extra skeletons. If we're going to make this have extra space here, then we probably need to start centering these things. And there should be a level up button here once you do this. That looks a little bit more reasonable because, yeah, now these delta values have enough space to show up. I kind of like that. But guild supplies looks a little out of place that it's not centered. I wonder if we should put titles at the top of these that say stats or something. Change the font to my game briefly today. I am number 1. This man just keeps getting more experience points. Somebody stop him before he gets out of control. He's going to change the whole XP economy. Don't know how to decide if a font is good or not. I think you can probably ask someone with an eye for that stuff. All right, anyway, this is looking good. Let's not belabor this. I should really fill this in with real data. So add a section that shows how many of each item you've got. Actually apply the bonuses and everything. All right, so now dynamically populate this information with the right item sprite and the right numbers. And then show a tooltip. Yeah. The tooltip is going to have text that looks sort of like this. I deleted it, didn't I? No, I didn't delete it. It's right over here. Cool. All right, show the sprite, done. Show how many you have, how many it'll take. Dynamically populate this information. Let's go do that. So we go to the Adventurer panel tab. Probably want this thing to have its own script. That way we can encapsulate a lot of this stuff over here. So we'll just add a new script here in, I always hate coming up with paths for this stuff. Source UI. I'll make a new folder here, Adventurers. Guild supplies. Cool. Now we make a namespace. Source UI Adventurers. Graphics designer, and this game looks terrible. I hate the Unity default font you're using. Like, first I spent a week picking the font. Second, I'm using Godot. Also, I feel like, I don't know if they were actually talking like that, but I feel like there's a certain way to give feedback to people you don't know, and that's not how to do it. But I guess it does stick with a person. It's like, do you want to get your message across? Are you okay causing some amount of discomfort in how you try to get that message across? Still, I feel like if you can be nice and get the message across, you'd probably go that route. All right, so what do we have here? We have a label. That's not going to change. The texture will change. So this is, we'll call this the item graphic. And then this is going to be the item progress. Yeah. That's how I remembered it. Yeah. Yeah, I've had people say all manners of things to me over the years. And part of it is I'm a streamer, so I mean, you get a bunch of randos who come in and they just say whatever they want. All right, there we go. Item progress. Sure, set some text. I don't really care. I'm gonna have to change this anyway. And then the item graphic, we want that. That is a texture rectangle. Item icon is a shorter word for it. So I think let's use that. Item icon. Okay, now get that. Cool. All right. Label's not going to change. Yeah, that looks pretty nice. Okay, so now how do we set an icon to be something that is a different graphic? Do we ever do this anywhere? Loot item, we do. And where do we set that? Right there. Well, would you look at that? Isn't that wonderful? So we can just change this to this and get one of these. We need item data. Why do we need item data? Why can't this just be an item ID? Could be an item ID. Okay. So item data, get item ID dot. Let's go with, I don't know, shadow cloak. To cropped texture. We shouldn't need that. Maybe we do. Yeah, we probably do actually, to stop sprite bleeding. All right, and then progress, let's just set this to 3 out of 15. All right, so if we try running this, then everyone is going to show that they have 3 out of 15 shadow cloaks, which is not correct yet, but I just wanted to dynamically populate something. Yeah, nice. So 3 out of 15 shadow cloaks. We're going to need a tooltip. We're going to need the right items for this. So let's do that next. So dynamically populate. We now need the right sprites and the right... Okay, so how's this going to work? I guess we need to be able to set the selected adventurer. And this is something the adventurer's panel tab is going to use. Yeah, we didn't even fetch this to begin with, so I need to do that. Guild supplies. All right, let's go get that. Private guild supplies equals null. Then we go fetch that thing. And then anytime you select an adventurer, update selected character on character selected. Yeah, so here's where we'll funnel this data in. Set selected adventurer. Alternatively, is any of this public? We could pull it from here. I don't think that's a good idea, though. I think we should just pass this in. You'd all be equally weirded out by all the stuff Americans do if they didn't dominate the media landscape so hard in the 20th century. Isn't that kind of true of any culture, though? Doesn't every culture do weird stuff or have weird stuff or weird food habits or movie watching habits or something? Okay, so what do I need for this? We just need the town so we can get the items tracker. And we need the adventurer class so we can figure out which item you should have. Is there like an adventurer data? There is. Oh, well then that's not so bad. Because here we can put in which item ID belongs to you. All right. All right, not too bad. So let's init this with the town. Hi, Siyash. I'm doing pretty well. Hey, knowledge. Reader subjective one source experience. Yeah, of course. Man, there's no point even typing out any of this code anymore. AI just does this for me. All right, so set selected adventurer to the adventurer class. This could just know what its parent is. This thing never lives on its own. But I don't really know. It doesn't matter. If we ever need this in the future, refactoring it's going to be easy enough because it's going to just be in this file. So these internals need to change to public. Set selected adventurer is going to store this somewhere. So selected adventurer class equals that. We go save this off. Oh, see, it already knows. So when you do select this, we need to update the icon and the progress. The progress is going to be based on how many of these you've collected overall. And we need some way of rendering this and figuring this out. So this is going to be, I'll just put this as a to-do for now. So this is going to move down here, and this is going to move down here too. Now we need to manifest something different in adventurer data. So adventurer data needs to know which item is your item. So item ID, power up item ID. Yeah. And now we go plug that in. I put that beneath skill table data, but because I'm using name parameters, it shouldn't make a difference. In fact, if I just do this and do that here, and then do item ID dot fire rod, that should work. And hopefully I didn't mess that up anywhere. Did I? No, yeah, that's nice. Okay, so now we got to plug in the correct values. So the warrior is, we have all this in town somewhere. What do I call it? Here they all are. So the warrior is the demon armor. Then the rogue is, so this is done now. The rogue is the shadow cloak. This is the mage. The mage is the fire rod. That's already done. Then we have the cleric. Cleric is the holy scepter. Then the paladin is the guardian shield. Then the witch doctor is the summoning totem. Archer is the quiver. This is the mushroom. This is the shard. And this is the spirit brooch. Yeah, there. Those are all their items. So now what we can do is we can go take from here and get their item. So adventurer data. And then get their item ID. Okay, let's go try that out. That should put all of the correct icons for all of the adventurers that we have. Also, we don't want to show this panel at all until you've unlocked treasure chests. The treasure room, I guess. Only show this new section if you've unlocked the treasure room. Make sure this saves and loads correctly. All right, well, let's check out the first bit of this. So the witch doctor has their summoning skull there. Rogue has the cloak, warrior has the armor, shield, fire rod, the brooch, mushroom, the rock shard, scepter, and the quiver. Nice. They all have their correct items there now. So next what we want to do is set their progress correctly. This is going to go in a game constant somewhere. I don't know what we want this to be. It's going to be like another level up cost. Public static read only int guild supply costs. All right, and these numbers are totally arbitrary for now. So how about we just do that? Sure. And then the to get to level whatever we can delete. Yeah. And these, oh, this is not how this should work though. These should be cumulative. Yeah. Cumulative guild supply cost. I mean, we could always type in there's just the starter costs and figure out what they are. You can do this in either direction, I guess. So that means that these need to increase even faster. So like 10, 30, 80. Yeah, I'll just let the AI fill in the rest of these. So whatever numbers it thinks are good. This is plus 150, then 200, then let's say 300. Now it's plus 400, plus 700, plus 1,000, plus 1,500. Yeah, sure. That's pretty good. That's a good start. Good job, AI. You made some numbers up. The one time hallucinating is totally fine. Okay, so we got to figure out how much of this you've already collected. So int num collected equals town dot the tracker. And there's no get here. We need a get. I only have add. Public int get processed item by category. What is this? Converting null literal or possible null literal to non-nullable type. Because this needs to be a question mark. Yeah, nice. Okay, that works. So now we could say public int get adventure item count. Nice. Okay, now we just plug this in here. And the item is going to be the adventure data dot power up item ID. Okay, now let's put in this $ num collected divided by 15. So this number needs to change to do change required number, but let's see if the first one works. What would know to update this? Nothing. Nothing would. Yeah, no, that's a problem. Oh boy. Okay. So we could have an event on processed items tracker for whether we got a certain category or a certain item. In this case, all we'd care about is the category. I guess we could also check if the item ID matches. We could also save that off too. Is that how I want to do things though? I think so. I think that's pretty reasonable. So let's go make an action here. Where does the action even go? If I put it here, what happens? Does it complain? It does, of course. Should not follow our property. Hey, nice. Okay, cool. So instead of loaded game, it's going to be something like processed item. And we're going to take in the item processing category and the item ID, and I guess the count. Why not? This should be maybe the delta count or the total count. Maybe we pass in both. I don't know what we'll need yet. So now anytime you add a thing, we then emit this with the new quantity and then count plus quantity. So we'll say int total equals this, and then use the total here and use the total here. There. And then what that means is that this thing can listen when it gets initialized to the item tracker. And then we just go define this function and move this down here. and then fix all the stupidly named parameters. uh, no suggestion. What? Using static? Huh. Interesting. Wait, what? Yeah, I guess so. An event should not follow an enumeration. There's no way I ever fix this thing. All right, so on process item, we get the category, the ID. This is the delta and then the total. What is using static? I think in this case, it's basically saying that this thing isn't defined as being static, but it essentially is. Because an enumeration isn't something that gets defined per class instance. But I didn't put it in its own top level namespace. It's inside of a class. So yeah, it's a little bit strange. We could move that. All right, so on process, we want to update the label. So private void update quantity label. So that's all we do here, update quantity label. I guess we're going to fetch this from the process items tracker already, right? Same thing here, update quantity label. And then put this down here, which is going to break everything because we don't have half of these variables. So we want this, which means we need the adventurer data, but that was only there so we can get the power up item ID. So let's just save that off. Private item ID, power up item ID, sure. We don't need to set this to none in both of these cases. They'll get defaulted to none. All right, so save this off. And then use this here. Why is item data needed? Item data is not needed. It's only needed up there. Oh, darn it. I just deleted it. There we go. All right, cool. Let's try that out. So if I'm not mistaken, the current quantity that you have should now rise as you collect these items. So what we need to do is collect an item for an adventurer that we're looking at here. So let's just make a bunch of workers. And there, the shield. So if we look at the paladin, they're at 0 out of 15. When we see the shield go over to the guild master, it should go up to 1 out of 15. It should be pretty soon. There it is. Yep, nice, 1 out of 15. Now, if I were to just grant 1,000,000 workers here and grant a bunch of shields, so now we should see this rise for everybody. So we're just looking at shields right now. So every time they bring in a shield, this should rise, yeah. But everyone else's should be rising as well. Yeah. They're bringing a fire rod over, so this should go to 11 out of 15. And then very shortly thereafter, 12 out of 15. Yeah, perfect. All right, pretty cool. Pretty cool. So now let's go get the required count to be correct. So this is going to be based on the cumulative values that you have here. So how's this going to work? We need to figure out what level you're on based on how many of these you have. So in num needed. So num collected is not even going to be what we show. This is like the total number of collected overall. Total num collected. So num needed for next level is going to be what? Stat computations. There's a thing in here that gets... It's not even here. Cost functions. Here it is. Get within bounds. That's what we want. Maybe this should all just have been over here. Yeah. Hey, Rixa, download the demo, left you feedback. Hint, you got a sale waiting for full release. Loved it. I want more. Nice. I'm glad. Out of curiosity, where did you leave the feedback? I just want to make sure I look at it later. Steam. Okay, yeah. Steam review. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Same name. Okay. As Arixa. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I really hope you like the new features that we're adding. They're like totally untested from a fun perspective. And I think they're going down the right track, but yeah, we got to figure this out. So yeah, thank you for playing. Very happy to hear that. All right, so how are we going to do this? We need to pass in how many of these things you have, and we're going to get what should we return? So given the number you have, we should, or the total number you have, we should return how many you have for this level and how many you need for this level. So we should return two numbers. So int. Can we name these? Can you name these like A and B? You can. Okay. So we're going to name these number or like progress for current level and target for current level. So get guild supply costs based on total. Or maybe we'll just write get supply cost based. Yeah. And then we'll say total num supplies. All right. So now we finally write this function. Oh man, what is this trying to do? Get guild supply level. None of this is right. So we need to get game constants, this cumulative supply level. And it's just going to be an integer. And it's going to be the cost is equal to this dot get within bounds. So we need to know your current level. So we find the first one that's above this. No, greater than or equal to. All right, I got to think about this. Also, this isn't even going to work. There's no get within bounds for this because this is a cumulative cost. So we can't just keep taking 10,000 at the end. We need to form the cumulative cost based on cost per level. Alternatively, we just come up with a formula for this. Oh man, I don't know what I want to do. Yeah, I don't know what I want to do. I think that a formula would be a bad idea here. I think we should just come up with the values needed for each level and not make these cumulative and then save them somewhere that gets computed. Possibly even as soon as this thing is accessed, right? Do we have any static constructor here? No. Yeah, so this is a per level cost. They write about this being per level cost so that the final number can be repeated infinitely. Do we even want to do that though? Maybe we want it to increase. Because, okay, I know I'm all over the place, but here's how this feature is going to work. You need X of some item to level up. I'm going to put that in quotes. You're really just getting stats. You're not leveling up. So maybe at level 1, it costs 5, and at level 2, it costs 15, and so on and so forth. You're eventually going to hit what we consider to be the max level, let's say 50, and maybe it costs 5,000 at that point. Level 51 could also, like every level after that, could just keep costing 5,000. However, I don't know what it's going to take to get 5,000 items. These can drop up to maybe like 20 at a time. So it's saying do 250 of these things to get another upgrade. Will that ever speed up? I don't think so. So I don't think these need to increase. And I think we can just keep giving you a flat bonus. But yeah, I think this is fine. Exponentially would promote New Game Plus. So the general direction of the game that I want to proceed in is the main game takes another like 3 hours beyond the demo. It's just more of everything. Bosses, adventurers, perks, etc. And the only new system is going to be the treasure system, I think. Yeah. And related systems for that. At least in V1 of the game. And then after that, there are like run modifiers that let you, that I guess instill some replayability. So imagine something where you're like, there could be positive ones like plus 10% income, or a negative one like enemies have plus 20% life. I don't know. And then ones that are more unique than just straight up stat boosts. So maybe you could say something like your farm can now be triple the size that it was, and it like changes how you play the game. So yeah, those are things we got to figure out. But that's the plan for V1. And that's what July is all about, is getting this stuff pretty much like working. The treasure system, the challenge mode thing that we have here. Frogger, thanks for subbing. Welcome. I don't think I've seen your name before. No, I have, apparently. Oh, back in 2020. Wow. Yeah, you haven't been here in 5 years. Welcome back. Hey, Hepta, is there a gold sink? There will be in the form of the treasure system. So the way it's going to work is you will buy treasure chests. And so let's say I click the purchase button, which we don't have here. But let's say I click the purchase button. You'll buy a treasure chest. It'll spawn in with some amount of time remaining. This will actually be more like 10 minutes. And that will have cost you money. And then you need to open the treasure chest. So you could either just wait that amount of time, or you could use the weapon grinder over here. And your workers will go bring weapons in and grind them into keys. And then once you have keys, your workers will bring them into the treasure chest and use them to open it. So we have to wait a long time for that worker to get all the way up here and then throw their key in. And yeah, now this is down to 22 seconds. So this is going to be the money sink at the later part of the game. And what you get out of these are going to be these items that we are coding right now that get brought to the guild. And when you hit a certain threshold, you will increase the power of your adventurers. Planning on making microtransactions? No. Hey, Freak Technic. That percentage seems familiar somehow. But how? All right, so this is going to be a cost per level. So how about we just... Are these numbers okay? No, these numbers suck. I don't want to figure these out. All right, whatever. That's fine. We'll figure that out later. So if this is a cost per level, then I think we need the cumulative cost. Although that's going to be an infinite array, right? How else would we do this? In place of the fishing and farming? It won't replace the fishing and farming. Fishing and farming will still be needed to raise your adventurers to the max level. So leveling up gives them skill points. This system just gives them power. What? It just had treasure train incoming. What was that thing? I've never even seen that. This is a rare treasure train. This seems silly. How is this different from a hype train? That it gives you a discount? Okay. Do you have an antidote yet? No, that's a final item you'll collect. All right, I'm still not certain the best way to code this. And this is like just straight up math, so it should be pretty easy. Okay, so let's think of the algorithm for this. So suppose we have the number 20. That would mean that you would be at 10 out of 30 toward completion. So I found this by find the first number you're cumulatively beyond. So we need the cumulative values. We could just compute these on the fly. We could also compute an array of like, yeah, all of these, knowing that we're going to repeat the last one over and over. So maybe compute an array of cumulative values. So it'd be 10, 40, 120. Yeah, and then we just keep going, ... And then at the end of the array, we just keep adding 10,000 for every level. So we can subtract. Oh, this is going to be so difficult. We can subtract the total cumulative amount in the array and then divide by 10,000 to get the current level. I bet Twitch is not eating the full discount. Yeah, they might actually in this case. They added another feature that lets you specify sales for 35% off subs, but I don't know how this one works. In this case, they would have already gotten enough money that maybe, let's just see, terms and conditions. Discount only applies to purchase of 5 or more, cannot be combined, offers non-transferable. They don't say who's eating that cost. It's not where I just checked. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter too much. Well, for me, probably matters a lot for other streamers. I'm not making a lot of money off of Twitch. All right, so we should store these cumulative values somewhere. Computing them is O of n. It doesn't take a long time to do, though. Maybe we shouldn't store it. And what do we need to find? We just need to find the first cumulative value that you're beyond. I don't know why we wouldn't just compute this, though. Public static. Can we make a list here? Int cumulative guild supply costs. Oh, wow, that's easy. Is that even how this works? Cost and index. Take index plus 1 dot sum to list. This is kind of a dumb way of doing this. It works. But this is O of n squared to do this. And the way you could do this is by just taking the last value in the list and adding the previous thing that we have. I need a function for that. Tamao, thanks for subbing. Welcome in. I think the idea is that they're just doing a progressive margin decrease thing, like with subpoint levels. Just they're giving to viewers here instead of the streamer. I don't know. I only just learned about this now, so I don't know what they're... I don't know exactly how this works. Also, one sec. I want to keep checking this delivery status because I should get my new speakers today, which I'm very excited about. They're not close to arriving yet. I think it'll be in the next couple of hours. Okay, so can you write a thing that'll do this? I guess you can. Yeah, why not? So I'll say compute cumulative guild supply costs. Yeah, we'll do that. And then I'll write this at the bottom here. Private static void compute cumulative guild supply cost. All right. So now we iterate over all of these. And we get the last cumulative value equals 0. And we say the cumulative guild supply cost. Oh no, we need to make this return a list. What am I doing? Cumulative costs equals this. So we don't need that. So we do last index equals 0. We don't even need that. What am I doing? I'm gonna figure this out. All right. So now we take whatever the last value was. And we add the current one. And then we set that there. And then we do this. And that's it, right? Is this correct? Let's put this inside of a function that we run on the C# playground online. You got some fancy monitors? Yeah, I did. I linked them in Discord. They are IK, iLoud, MTM, MK2s. And I am excited to hear what they sound like. Okay, so we got to get this from guild supply costs. Let's go save that somewhere. This will just be private static read only int guild supply costs equals. Let's put in a few of these. 10, 30, 80, 150. 10, 30, 80, 150. Now let's put 500s at the end. All right, now what? Now we get that. Good. List we need to pull in. How do you get it to how do you get it to autocomplete this stuff? Like, I never remember what you have to type to get list in here. It's this, but I'm not going to remember that. All right, so then we get the cumulative costs, and then we just print them out. Compute. Man, there's no autocomplete in any of this. I should have done this as a console application. Probably would have been a lot faster. Oh, well. Run. Okay, that does not do what I wanted it to do. So let's print it out this way. For an I equals 0. list int cumulative costs count I plus plus console dot write line I colon cumulative costs I. Okay, now what's the problem here? Cannot convert from int to bool. All right, let's run that. All right, so 10, 40, 120, 270. Yeah, this is correct. That sounds great. You can do better than that. No. Okay, so those are all the cumulative costs. So then for this function that we want to write, we need to get the cumulative cost that was just below this, knowing what the final level is. So that's going to be a little bit difficult. Let me think about this. So suppose we have 50. We know that we are on level 1. That's easy enough to do. That's not the hard part. The hard part is that these are not really in the list, but 5 would be 1270, 6 would be 1770, 7 would be so on and so forth. So if we're 5, we know we're level 1. If we are at 1771, we know we're at level 6. So the way we would do this is check, are we greater than the final number? Yeah, okay, that's easy enough to do. And final cumulative value equals game constants dot cumulative guild supply costs caret 1. So now if the total number that you have is greater than that, then we need to figure out exactly what level you are. They do active correction. They only do that once. Like you calibrate the speakers and then they just have some settings as a result of that. Or maybe that's what you're saying basically, but yeah. So you don't keep a microphone plugged in, but I got a bunch of cables as a result of that. So I got an ARC mic cable here. It's TS to XLR, excuse me. And I have no use for this beyond the calibration of the speakers. So that's money that is otherwise not going to use, but who knows? Maybe someday I get an ARC mic and I need that. Still active because the DSP keeps running. Yeah. That is true. It's just not dynamic, I guess. All right. So if this is the case, then we need to get how many levels you are beyond this thing. So int difference from final value is equal to this. And then we need to divide by the final value. Int num levels beyond final equals that. And we do a math.floor of that. And then that is our level plus this thing, right? Level equals that. Otherwise, it's just which is the first value that we're greater than. Greater than or equal to, maybe? Something like that. Okay, so then the cost. How do we do this now? Okay, so suppose we figured out that we were at 3270. we need to, or no, suppose we're at 1771. I guess we need to then subtract 1770 to figure out what our current thing is. I guess the level might matter. In fact, maybe we even return a level from here. They have 11 packs for 4,000. I think I saw that. And it's not even really a better price. And I think it only comes with one microphone. So if you bought them individually, you'd get like 11 microphones. This is math F. Okay, so progress for current level. That means we need to figure out what is the base of the current level. And we don't have that information, I guess. Base for current level. Okay, so what is this? Number of levels times that, yeah. This is used everywhere. We don't need this to be here, do we? Final cost plus that, yeah. Oh my goodness, this is so difficult. For decimal or double. I guess it's integer division, so I don't need to even do that. And int final cost. Must cost them dollars a bundle. Well, apparently whatever it's equivalent to is like 25 bucks. So it's not nothing, but it's not expensive for the speaker world, I guess. Then again, who knows? Maybe that equivalent thing is wrong. All right, so go through each of these, figure out which one we're greater than. The level is going to be equal to I, and the cumulative cost for the level is going to be equal to this. So now what we can figure out is your progress for the current level is going to be the total number of supplies minus the cumulative cost for the current level. That sounds good. Why is this red? Use of unassigned variable. Oh, because this may not have been true. It has to be true. It doesn't have to be true. We could be a level 0. Ugh. Okay, well then fine. And then what's the other thing we need? The target for the current level is going to be the cumulative cost for the next level. Oh, God. All right, so this needs to be, if level's less than that, then set it to get within bounds. Otherwise, set it to... Yeah, actually, that's correct. In fact, this is correct for every level. Okay, so now we can just return the 3 things. Does this function work? That's the big question. So I'd like to write an application that lets us test this pretty easily. I guess we can just make a standalone application for this. Release tool is such an application. We can just modify release tool then. So let's just get rid of all the things that are in there and let's copy everything over to that. So let's copy this function. How do we write functions in here? Yeah, like that. Now we need the game constant stuff. Then trying to follow the math. It's not going to be easy to make sense of because even I'm not totally sure that what I'm doing is correct. But we're about to find out. I just need a test bed for this. Can we make a class here? We can. Okay. Nice. Now what's the problem here? Top level statements must precede namespace and type declarations. Okay. That's fine. We can just move this down here. All right. Now we just need get within bounds. Get within bounds. And we put this here. Can I just put this anywhere? I can. Okay. Is it working? So now we got to run this function. So we call this with, let's say, 50. And we're going to get 3 things out of it. These 3 things. How about we just call it with a bunch of random values? Yeah. So for I equals 0, I is less than 10, I plus plus. And then we say num supplies equals I times 50. And then do all this stuff. And then print out everything. So num supplies, and then print out the 3 things that we got. Yeah, let's try that. Now, how do we run this? Hey, Natchanax, thanks for the resub. Welcome back. Release tool. There's an easy way to do this, and I don't remember what it is. I think it's just .NET Run. Yeah. Release tool. .NET Run. What if I just do that? Does it work? Oh, it does. Wow. Okay, great. All right, so are these numbers correct? No. We have to go find out why. I'll close out of all these other things. This I want to keep open. Yeah. All right, so what are the numbers we used? 10, 30, 80, 150. And we know this is broken, which is just fun. All right, so it supplies 0, your level 0. This stuff's all correct. Now it supplies 50. It says your progress is 40. Wouldn't we be negative then? Target is 10. Target never changes because level never changes. We need to debug this. So let's go debug this. So the first time this breaks in, it's going to get called... Oh, what? Something's wrong? Num collected doesn't exist? Oh, I don't even know why that's trying to build. I guess it's all in the same code base. Is it doing anything? I can't even tell if I clicked that. Nope, I had not. All right, should break in pretty quickly. Yep. And now supplies are going to be 0. I don't care about this. I care about the next one. Yeah, so now we're at 50. Now, if we go down to here, that should put us at level 2, I think. And it's getting level 0, so we need to figure out what's going wrong there. So none of this should be of any importance yet, and then this matters. So now total supply, oh, we got to go from the end of the list to figure out the first one that you're greater than, yeah. So set this equal to this minus 1. I is greater than or equal to 0. I minus minus. Okay, let's try running that. What does this print out? Okay, that's looking a little better, maybe. Target 30, that's not correct. Maybe I should print out the cumulative values. That would probably help. Let's do that. For I equals 0, I is less than game constants, dot supply costs, dot length. All right, so I want to get the, I want to print out all of the all the costs and all the cumulative costs. So console.writeLine level 0 cost num supplies and cumulative num supplies. Okay. Cumulative ones come from there, regular ones come from there. Let's just run that. This should just print out exactly what we have here. Level does not exist. Okay, so level 0, cost 10, cumulative 10. That's correct. That's correct. Yeah, it looks like all these numbers are fine. So now that we know these numbers, and we stop at level 13, but we should maybe go even farther than that. Yeah, maybe this is less than 18. So let's get some extra levels at the end. And it should still have values for those. Oh, wait, it won't because I don't have get within bounds called. Get within bounds. And then technically this also won't work because we just compute a list and nothing will tell us what the cumulative amount is. God, fine. I'll put this back to what it was. Game constants dot kill supply cost. All right, so that's looking good. So 50, what are we finding here? We find the first cost that we're greater than, so we get level 1, which would then mean that you have 20 progress into this level, and that your target should be... Oh, wait, no, is that how that works? Oh, I subtracted the wrong cumulative thing, I think. If you have 50... Oh, this is so confusing. So confusing. Okay, let's back up a step. I think this process will work. I'll eventually come up with a solution here and it'll make sense and I'll never touch it again and everything will be fine. But is there an easier way to represent all this stuff so I don't need to do any of this work? If I want to keep the total and only store one number, then no. But I could just store multiple numbers. But then you need to keep them in sync with one another over save file migrations. All right, let's still just pursue this path. I think this is probably fine. And I think that as I work through it, hopefully I can make more sense of this. So what is the point of this cost? Is this even helpful for us? How about we write down what this means in plain English first? So when you have no supplies, you need 10. Once you have 10, the UI should show 0/30. So we're going to subtract the cumulative amount for the last level. So if you have 50, it means that you're on level 2, actually. So it's the first number that you're less than. So I was doing this wrong. Yeah. First number that you're less than. Where's the I minus minus thing that I wrote? Here it is. It's less than this. So 0, I is less than that. I plus plus. And then if this fails to find a level, then we run the code that this is doing. We know you must be beyond that, but we could already have figured that out, right? I don't know. It's just too hard to figure out altogether. Let's say you have 10,000. 10,000 wouldn't tell you. It's the lowest cumulative one that you're greater than. Or, sorry, the highest cumulative one that you're less than. This is so bad. More my idea of you knowing everything about coding and never making mistakes is hurt. Yeah. Well, what I'm trying to do is like a very specific thing here. And it's difficult to reason about because of how I'm trying to store these things as well. So let's say, for example, that you had 20 levels and that's it. You would just write out, here's what you need at each level, and it'd be dead simple. But what we're doing is we're saying, I'm only going to define, let's say, 5 levels of data, and then we allow for infinite levels in the game. Just use level 5 over and over. And that's very difficult to do. Because we need to do something when you're within those 5 levels and something when you're beyond those 5 levels. And the numbers are just difficult to reason about because they're cumulative values that you're trying to sort through. And yeah, I'm doing a bad job right now. So yeah, the thing I got to figure out is what does level 14 look like? Try not to have that happen. Level 14, cost not defined. I guess it'd be 10,000 again. Cumulative would be 4220, and then this would just keep going up like this. Just math formula that scales properly, and you only have one constant. We could do that. I just find that it makes it a little bit harder to balance. So like, let's say level 7 is wrong, but all the other levels are fine. It'd be nice to just go into level 7 and be like, oh, let's just bump this up by 50 or something. And you don't end up modifying anything else. Whereas the math formula, you have to figure out how, like, what values is it generating? And then what like tweaks do we make to it afterward? And you could have the math formula just put an if statement in it and be like, if level is equal to 7, then, you know, result plus equal 50. So yeah, we could do that. The other thing to consider is this math formula. Is it something you can compute only when you have the previous values, in which case it's O of n to run? Yeah. So I don't know. Hey, Creative Seal. Anyway, so yeah, let's say you have 10,000. We're comparing which cumulative value are you higher than. So you're higher than this one. So we subtract the cumulative value and we say that you're at that out of 4,500. So find the first cumulative value that you're higher than, then subtract it and set the next level's cost to your target. Okay, that's it. So now what do we do when you're beyond even that? 30,220. You're on level 14 at that point. So that's where this code comes in. And this code is actually fine. So wait a second though. Find the first cumulative value that you're higher than. And what was I doing here? Finding the first one that you're lower than? What was that supposed to do? Find the first cumulative cost. I guess it's the same way of coding this. Yeah. Same way of coding this. Saying the first one that you're higher than is the same as finding the first one that you're lower than. So if you're higher than this, you'll be lower than that because these are monotonically increasing. All right, let's just run this. What are we doing? That says progress is -10 now. I think it's subtracting the wrong value. Yeah, it's subtracting the wrong value. Cumulative cost for current level. All right, let's go with the algorithm that I came up with. Find the first one that you're greater than. I keep flip-flopping this. So if it's greater than or equal to this, then we set that as our level. So we're not level 10 though, we're level 11. So it's a level is going to be this plus 1. Wait, no, that might be right. Say that you're greater than this. No, it is level plus 1. That might not be the best. Well, in this case, we can very easily verify that this works for all of the numbers before we get to production. So we should definitely do that. But sometimes there are too many variables. It's too difficult. You're like, well, there's a database involved and we need to contact this other service. So sure, let's just let it run in production. Like I could see that happening every once in a while. No, like gigantic company is going to do that. But as a single developer, yeah, you might do that. All right, so we find this level and we say that we're actually on level 11. Then what do we do? Cumulative cost for the current level. And what do we do with the cumulative cost? Target for current level is always this. That's fine. Progress for current level. We don't need to do that, do we? No, we need to subtract the cumulative one for this level. Yeah, for the level. Okay, I think that'll work. Okay, this is breaking, presumably because we're at a high enough number of supplies now that I broke something. No, it's breaking on 0. Oh no. What is this? Oh, this should be -1. All right, does it work? So 0 is working fine. 50 says we should be level 2. Yeah, that's correct. So the target is 80. That's correct. And the progress is wrong. We're subtracting the cumulative 1 for the lower level. That's our issue. Okay, so this should be level -1. Yeah. All right, now I think we fixed all of the intermediate numbers. Now we need to fix the higher one. So let's take a look. 0 says you're level 0 and you're at 0 out of 10. Perfect. 50 says that you're level 2 and you are at 10 out of 80. Yes, that's correct. 100 says that you're level 2 and then you're at 60 out of 80. That's also correct. 150 says you're level 3 and you're at 30 out of 150. Good. Okie dokie. So now let's go to very high numbers and try to figure out how those look. So let's try int numbers to test. So I want to see what happens when we're at a level boundary, like 270. Just beyond that, 271, let's say. Let's do one lower than that, 269. And then let's try some of the very large numbers. Like this, halfway in between, let's just say 35,000. Yeah, so let's test with all those numbers. $65535. So in that case, it's not really a super interesting value for us because we already know we're going to have enough to store large numbers. What's going on? These aren't right. Numbers to test, get within bounds. This is just numbers to test I. Cumulative supplies. What is it? Oh, darn it. Whoops. Oh, no. No, this is not what I want to do. I wanted to put this. I want to put this here. Yeah. So numbers to test I. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so at 269, you should be at level 3. And you are. And your progress is just barely almost complete. Yeah. Then at 4, you're at 0 out of 250. Perfect. And then you're at 1 out of 250. Okay, all those are looking good. Now, what about these ones? These are the high numbers that we wanted to test. Level 13, you're at this. So now you're at 0 out of 10,000. I think this is all right. So we got to now put this back into the game. And then make sure that these numbers work. It'll be very obvious if it's working or not once it's in the game. So yeah, let's go undo everything I just did. Is this, yeah, let's run the game itself again. Man, this was tough. This was really tough. All right, so these all were fine. I didn't change any of that stuff. I changed this function. In fact, let's just copy paste the whole thing. This is get guild supply costs right here. Yeah, so paste that in. And now our UI needs to call this. Also, hang on a second. Let me again check my delivery thing. Still nothing. All right, get guild supply costs. Let me put this in guild supplies. Alrighty. So in level, we can just copy this from this code. Yeah, this. And this comes from cost functions. All right. So we got to say progress for current level divided by target for current level. And we can even write a level number in here. Level, colon, that. How's Abby doing? So we are a little bit worried about her right now. She got into some chocolate and we don't know how much, and we are keeping an eye on her. And chocolate is toxic for cats. So what happened is she learned how to open our kitchen cabinets, and we used to store treats in one of those cabinets, and for one day we put them back in that cabinet, like inadvertently, and then we took them out when we realized. She thought they were still in there, I think, so she opened it up and then found chocolates, which she'd just never been interested in before. Yeah, so anyway, I hope she's fine. My wife is home right now, so I'm assuming if something were wrong, she would have come and talked to me. Because, yeah, this could have gone south and still could go south, I guess. So we're supposed to monitor her for a while and bring her to the vet if something looks wrong. But we had quite the scare, and I hope everything's okay. All right, cost functions does not exist. Do we need to reload this whole thing? Other than that, she's doing great. That cat is wonderful. I took a picture of her. Look at this. She fell asleep yesterday with her face just like directly on this blanket. She's blurry in this photo because I'm like way across the room when I took this. Do I have any other good pictures? None that I can really share. Yeah. She's a good kitty cat. All right, so this entire thing is red. Can't even find cost functions? Oh, no, we can. All right, num supplies is total num collected. Now it's wrong. Cannot implicitly convert this to this. That's fine. Cool. Silly fluff ball, I know. Okay, I think we did it. So this says level 0, 0 out of 10. So here's what I want to try now. What happens if we... how do we do this? Let's change it so that town only generates quivers. And let's have it generate a bunch of them, I guess. And then let's lower the cost so that it is not gigantic values like this. Let's lower it to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this should be very easy to validate now because it's going to make sense just by looking at it. So let's go try this out. So we need an archer. There they are. So we're at 0 out of 1. I'm going to generate a bunch of quivers, and we're going to just drag one over manually here. Now we are at 0 out of 2, but our level went up. So now I'm going to drag one over here and one over here. And now we're at 0 out of 3, but our level went up. So as you see workers bring these over there, you should see this number rise. So it should go to 1 out of 3. And now a whole bunch are going to bring them over at once. So it'll go to 2 out of 3, and then our level will go up. 2 out of 3, level goes up. Yep. Okay, let's just keep generating them over there. And speed this up a little bit. Okay, so now is when we get into the made up levels, basically. We get to level 5. So now the level stopped. That was wrong. The level is incorrect right at the boundary of 4 and 5. But otherwise, everything is looking good. And I think I know how to fix that problem. I think the issue is that this is setting it to count -1. It should be count. Yeah. I think that's it. Okay. Hey, Soli, is it now daily streams? Yeah, pretty much. I try to stream every day, every work day of the week now, but just not afternoons on Tuesday or Thursday. So whenever I'm feeling pretty comfortable with what we've done, I just move on. Today, I'm probably going to do some marketing stuff off stream, although I really just want to work on this. All right, we're going to try to make this go like this. There we go. So we should be able to see this rise. So let's just go to level 1. Yep. And then level 2. Yep. And then level 3. Cool. And now we run out of supplies, so I'm going to generate a bunch of these. Maybe I shouldn't have done that many. And we got to be careful to watch what happens when it goes to level 4 and then to 5. Yes, I believe this worked. Oh my god, okay, this was very difficult. This took a long time to figure out, but we got it. Oh my goodness. So the reason I did things this way is because if I were to save this right now, so this says we're level 9 and we're at 0 out of 5. The way that this gets saved is like this. You found 35 items. So we have to somehow turn level 35 into the number level 9 and 0 out of 5. And that's what this thing does. So you pass in the number 35 and it goes through all of this and it's like, oh, okay, that's more than the final cumulative value. So we figure out how much beyond it you are and what level that equates to and then what your target should be and everything. So yeah, that's what all this math was for. How's marketing going? It's not great right now. Yeah, so if you look at Skeleseller videos on YouTube, there are a few that have done very well. So this one got 30,000 views, this one got 67,000. Those like skyrocketed the number of wish lists and the number of players we had for the game, and that was great. That breathed some new life into Skeleseller. And there are some other videos that also got many thousands of views. But then that's kind of it. There haven't been new videos in a while. And let's see if we sort by today. Yeah, it's just me making these videos. So that's not for lack of trying. I reached out to, I think, 33 YouTubers since the last video. And I think one said they may make a video. And one said they wanted money. And then the other 31 didn't respond. This is concerning because I seem to have some success with the first batch of emails. So I'm trying out some different things now. Like, should I send them on a different day? Which is why I want to try sending them today. Because I think sending them on the weekend is bad. Maybe sending them during the summer is bad. I don't know. And maybe I just got lucky at first. Who knows? And these aren't just like copy paste emails. I'm like typing each one for that specific person. So it might sound impersonal sometimes, but like I watched some piece of this YouTuber's channel and I like looked at some information about them and tried to figure out like what would they like or what would they respond to. And I'm either doing a bad job or I need to be offering money or something. I don't know. Hey, Hefe. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough to figure out. It's tough to figure out what I'm doing wrong. All right, this was crazy. So dynamically populate this information we're now done with. Indicate what numbers it'll take to get to the next level. Or indicate what you'll get on the next level. Then apply the bonuses and only show this if you've unlocked the treasure room. All right. I think we're going to check this in. This is a little bit crazy, I think. Given a total number of a particular item that you collected, this will figure out what level you are and how much you need to get to the next level. Each level acts like you have 0 items collected so far, which is what makes this difficult. It would be pretty simple if we were okay. Yeah. Marketing seems fearsome. Hey, Clonk. Yeah, I've kind of said this about game dev before, but I think most people start game dev by developing a game. And you're coding and maybe you're doing some game design, and that's probably about it. Maybe at some point you're touching music or art, but it's because you know you wanted to do that from the beginning. But then at some point you get into sort of the business side of things, marketing, releasing, polishing, maybe some other things like testing or documenting. That some of these are part of the software process still, like testing and documenting and polishing. But business and marketing aren't really. Maybe you get into some legal troubles or something like that. These are things that they're still technically your job to do, but you don't have expertise in them necessarily, and they're not really fun. So marketing for me is definitely in that bucket. I don't mind reaching out to a person or two. That's fine. I would even go look at, I'd spend like an hour doing it and figure out how best to craft a message to that person. But it is a numbers game. So you really should be reaching out to like 1,000 people or 20,000 people. And at some point, it becomes infeasible for you to reach out to them yourselves, which is why you advertise. But then that costs money. So now how much money do you spend? And even advertising is not just, well, I'll put $100 into ads and it's going to pay off. It's like you need to target those ads. You need to follow up on them. You need some tracking. You need just a million different things. So it is quite the beast. And it's so important. It's like those tens of thousands of views on Skeleseller really, really helped. And I don't know if the wishlist count is updating now. I think it was at this number already. Let me take a look. 5892, yeah. It still says this wishlist has been temporarily paused due to high traffic during the summer sale. The summer sale is over. It has been over for I think 5 days, but this message is still there, and this has updated twice in the last I think 5 days. So I don't know if this number is higher than it is, and it's just rendering as this, or if that's actually what it is. But yeah, this is what, 5892 on today. You need very high output. It's just numbers out for numbers in. Yeah, although I would say that the sort of quality of the message in the game modifies that multiplier. Like, let's say I have a trash game, just a totally trash game. Like I made, I don't know, Pong, and I didn't do anything new. Gamers have already played Pong, and now I'm trying to market that game to people. Like I could probably send out 10,000 messages and maybe get a few responses. But probably most people are going to be like, why would I go play a game that has existed for decades? Whereas if you were to share whatever Final Fantasy VII with them, they might be like, oh man, this is great. Yeah, I'd love to play this. I wonder if you can sell keyboards. Oh, you might be able to, or I might be able to, but I don't think it'd be a very good profit margin. I'd have to source all the parts. I need to make them. Then I need to distribute them and everything. What happens if people return them or something? Maybe I'd end up making like $100 per keyboard, but like how much time does it take to make a keyboard and send it out? And then am I charging like $400 for that? Yeah, I don't think that would work. If it helps, I wishlisted it last night. Should have gone up by one. Yeah, so the wishlist numbers were never real time. These always updated at like 7 in the morning my time. So I would just refresh the page every day and then be like, oh, okay, I saw it go up. And I think if we click 1 month, for example, we'll see a graph that's just, it's just flat. It's like none of these counted. So I'm guessing it last counted around here. Oh my God, look at that. 1,200 on June 28th. Was that because of Idle Cub? 2 weeks. What day was this exactly? It'd be nice if you could actually see this. June 27th, yeah. So it was probably because of Idle Cub's video. Then you see 830 and then 340 and then 0. So I'm guessing this 0 is it not actually counting anything. So we probably have 2 weeks of data that's just not accounted for. In which case, this number should be a lot higher than it is. But by how much, who knows? Because if it was from that one video would have died down a bit. So maybe it would be in the like low number of hundreds or something. Have I looked into Keymailer? I haven't looked into that. I think I opened this up on stream at one point. This used to be like a free platform or something. Is this the one I'm thinking of? Maybe it's not the one I'm thinking of. There was some game that changed it so that they just have like a flat rate that they offer. It might not have been Keymailer. Anyway, I don't think Keymailer. Maybe I am misunderstanding. I don't know. I only have the demo right now, so I don't have the full game to market yet. But even trying to market the demo, you're on the creators part, but yes. Was it the one I looked at? There was something that said like it's $2,000 and like we emailed 10K YouTubers or something like that. I don't know if this is worth it. It's so hard to say because like maybe I can find some of these YouTubers and do it myself. And maybe messaging them later. Keymailer/pricing. You can link it if you want to. I can try to, I'll just go to that page. And this is what I'm thinking of. No, this is not what I'm thinking of. All right, 1 game. Remove free service limits, 3 launch promotions, influencer outreach credits. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how effective this would be. Just add it to my wish list. Thanks, Phil. Yeah, I'll make this easier if anyone wants to. There's the Steam link. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what these things mean. What is a launch promotion and what are outreach credits? And presumably they have this listed somewhere, although I'm kind of surprised that it's not listed right here. It's like, how are they trying to get you to buy this thing if it's not clear what these things are? Oh well. So yeah, I think that once you have a sales funnel that can actually result in money, which we don't right now, we only have a demo funnel, which has no money coming out of it, that you can figure out if I put in X dollars, what's my average output from it. This is what a literal return on investment is, right? If this arrow is up, then you're happy to do it. So I put in $1 and I get $5 worth of sales out of it. This is essentially like the user acquisition cost. And this will drop over time, the return on investment, because you'll eventually have saturated the number of people you could reach. Like not everyone in the world is going to want to play Skeleseller. So yeah, I don't have what those numbers would be right now. So it's hard for me to say, oh yeah, it's worth spending $1,000 or knowing how much I should get out of it. And if a game pulls in, let's say like 100K, then spending $1,000 in the hopes that it works is not so bad as a game pulling in $0 and then spending $1,000 in the hopes that something works. Because at least in one case, you know you have a successful enough product and like, yeah, you just need to reach more people. So we are in the pre-launch marketing strategy right now, which I think should probably try to remain free as much as possible. Okay, so no matter what, I'm going to have to take a break or something. How much more do we have to do before this is playable? Because I did not want this to take like a month to code. So this stuff is adding a tooltip, making these functions work, the power in life, making sure it saves correctly and everything. Purchasing chess. Code all the new conclusions. Didn't I do this already? I did, so I don't think it needs to be here. Yeah, this is more than just this week's worth of work. Almost to the point where I wonder if I should skip the marketing stuff for this week. Hey, Broken Crown. I should probably spend some time this afternoon. There's time this afternoon after marketing. Get back to coding. There's too much to do for just this week. Why do I have it in my mind that I'm not working on Friday this week? I don't know where that came from. I don't know where that came from. I don't have anything listed down. Huh. Just running the script. Okay, so what do we do here? Merged Kevin's fix for the JSON problem from yesterday. Then worked on computing guild supply costs, which took a while. Only streamed in the morning. All right, Wednesday's got the same general plan. Figure out how long until we can get this play tested. Oh, man. Well, look, progress has been good. What we did today is we added in this little panel here for guild supplies, and this updates for each character that you have. So I only have archer stuff dropping right now, but if we put in more quivers, so they'll bring them to the guild. That's working how it should. They walk all the way over. And then you'll see this number go up. And this number doesn't do anything right now. It's literally just a number. But eventually it's going to control your stats a little bit. So like when you're level 15, your power might have shot up by like 40. And you're much more powerful than you were. But yeah, every character has their own item that they need. You'll end up getting these from treasure chests. We don't have a way of spawning treasure chests right now. I guess we could like that. And then yeah, once you open them, they'll pop open in those items. They don't work that way yet, but they will, and it'll be great. That is a lot of quivers. But yeah, I think that's it for this morning's stream. It is 11 a.m. and it's been 2 hours and 26 minutes. I think that's pretty good. Like I said, these are just to kickstart my day on Tuesday and Thursday. So let's go find someone to raid. Who is that? Oh, okay. Let's raid Cavino. Cavino raided me yesterday. Hey, Liquidor's online too. I wonder if I ever raided Liquidor. Yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow should be a full day of coding. And again, I'm hoping that we can just make progress and focus on that stuff and not get caught up on other things. Well, let's go say hi to Cavino. He's a good streamer. And I will see you all tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day. Take care.